defenders, I think, it's like.
People, Deluded, I'm back again. First things first, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, good night. If you're a regular here, appreciative for you lot tuned in again. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Regardless, please smash the like button. Please let me know your thoughts. Now, apologies. What do you make of this, people? Arsenal's Gabriel Jesus to miss start of the season with knee injury. I'm not going to lie. I believe on one hand, we shouldn't feel sorry for ourselves. We need to get on with it. Injuries are nothing new to Arsenal. Definitely not new to Arsenal during this Emirates era. Injuries are not exclusive to Arsenal. Injuries can strike at any time. Obviously, it's a bitter pill to swallow because, I don't know when Zinchenko is going to be back. Mikel Arteta was asked about that, and he said he'll be back training soon. But Zinchenko, a key player to just our squad anyways, and in terms of our build-up play, much like Jesus, they're not going to be involved in probably Sunday to play against their former employers, Manchester City, and God knows when they're back in relation to the season. And for Gabriel Jesus, it makes you feel a bit nervous. It's another knee injury, people. For what it's worth, The Athletic have reported, and Arteta has also spoken of it, Gabriel Jesus will miss the start of Arsenal's season with a knee injury. The 26-year-old was left out of the side for the Emirates Cup match against Monaco on Wednesday, which Arsenal won on penalties. After the game, Mikel Arteta admitted the injury was a big blow for his preparation. So you've obviously... you got to take the rough with the smooth. We've seen Saliba and Tomiyasu fitter than expected and played part of a pre-season. We've missed Zinchenko, we've missed Jesus. Obviously, Nelson isn't a regular to these lots caliber, but we need every player fit and available. Reece Nelson has a knock. It is what it is, people. Arteta said, unfortunately, he had a little procedure this morning. He had some discomfort in his knee that has been causing him some issues, and he had to go and resolve it. It's not something major, but he's going to be out for a few weeks, I think. It is what it is. We're going to have to get on with it. And at least, if he's had minor surgery and that's obviously been corrected, why not? Obviously, people, he was absolutely kicked from pillar to post against Barcelona. Arteta said it's a big blow because we had him back to his best, especially the way he played against Barcelona. He was in good condition and we lost him, but he's feeling some discomfort in the last few weeks and we had to make a decision. So a few weeks he's done that. He's probably been carrying that for a while. He's also said on Jesus, the best one was to protect the player and get him back as quickly as possible. It's something related to the previous injury he had, so it's a recurring theme, which is scary. And the surgery, he has some irritation in the knee, and we had to resolve it. So yeah, man, despite having an injury hit last year, he got 11 goals in 26. Bukayo Saka missed out due to illness and apparently the calf injury, which is troubling Zinchenko. He'll be over that soon. Saka was fine, but wasn't feeling great on the bench and didn't want to use him. I think he had some sickness, so we could not use him. I hope Arteta is telling a bit of a white lie for Pep Guardiola with Sunday in mind. On Zinchenko, he's close. I think he's going to start training with the team, and hopefully we'll have him back very soon. On Balogun, which some would wonder, with Jesus' injury, there's a lot of possibilities. Do you go with Smith Rowe as a false nine, which Arteta has spoken about before, and it didn't work in the knockout stages of the Europa League? Obviously, Trossard and Martinelli are filled in, and they've got a good partnership when one of them plays up front and the other rotates onto the left. Do you go with Eddie Nketiah? Say what you want about him. He might not be anything to write home about. He might not have the stardust that Jesus has done, but I think in relation to what Arteta demands of a striker like him, he has shown competencies, and I've actually done a video on that, so make sure your notifications are on, tactical analysis settings. And he's not really, Balogun's also injured, in which, you've got Jesus and Balogun injured. I don't think Arteta is potentially counting on Balogun for this season at least, but had Balogun have been fit, maybe an opportunity could have happened. And I think, sometimes when a manager says nothing, he says everything, despite Jesus' injury. And some would say, we could make a case of keeping Balogun, because as my first go-to would actually be, Trossard, Martinelli, maybe even Kai Havertz as a false nine, because I think the build-up play, it's not too affected. Eddie Nketiah is a striker, so I would say that would be my first goal protocol, but maybe even potentially Balogun. I think Balogun obviously has improved a lot, but in relation to what Arteta demands of a striker across 90 minutes, Jesus is obviously better than him. And I think Eddie Nketiah is better than him at that, not the art of goal scoring, if you get where I'm going. Arteta didn't really shed any light on Balogun, and as we know, he's been linked with Inter Milan. He could leave the club. He probably will leave the club. The plans with Flo don't change at all. Unfortunately, we're not going to be with Gabby, but we have other options to play with different qualities of players, so we'll adapt. And that's what you want to see from the gaffer. So hopefully Jesus, Zinchenko, Nelson, Saka with his illness, and anyone else who's got any little knock, they return sooner rather than later. Mikel Arteta had his press conference, and I think he spoke on it as well. We've read that, and we've read that. So we're gonna have to adapt really and truly. And he obviously spoke about Jesus. When asked about Raya, people, he said, I'm not going to talk about any players that is not here. I'm sorry. Fair enough, Mikel Arteta. He's also said Ramsdale's still in his plans for all the Raya links and things like that. Nicolas Pepe has been linked with Besiktas. Fabrizio Romano has said Besiktas now have genuine interest in Pepe. He's out of the project at Arsenal and prepared to leave. Negotiations will take place in order to discuss the structure of a potential deal. We've seen that with Balogun, really. Young Marcelo Flores has been linked with a return to Spain. He's previously spent a loan spell there with Oviedo. He's been linked with Betis, people. As you know, he's obviously spent a lot of time in Spain. He doesn't appear anywhere near the first team. It's probably best he keeps it moving and goes on loan like a number of young players. He's been linked with Betis. I don't know if that will correlate, but you do probably expect to see some movements in general in terms of outgoings and the 21s. You'd imagine Brooke Norton-Cuffy probably going to get a loan move away or maybe even a permanent offer. Marcelo Flores, Charlie Patino, John Jules, Nathan Butler-Adeji, and plenty of others really are probably going to push to leave permanently or go on loan to advance their careers. So there'll probably be more aggression on that front. And also, Pepe, Austin Trusty, Turner, there's been several players linked with moves away. Balogun as well, but his doesn't appear imminent. Allegedly, we've agreed a £5 million deal for Austin Trusty, Speak of the Devil, to sign for Sheffield United. Some say he's had his medical. He has had interest from Ipswich and Swansea. 24-year-old joined from Colorado Rapids last year, January in 2022, for £1.5 million. We've sold him for a decent profit for £5 million. Hopefully there's a sell-on clause. Did well at Brom last year and starting to make inroads with the American national team. So go and do your thing, really. Maybe we've pulled the trigger too early. Maybe not. Once again, Pepe's been linked with a move to Turkey, people. Apparently, Marquinhos could be set to join Olympiacos on a season-long loan, people. Allegedly, Arsenal are beginning to turn the screw in their quest to clear the decks at the Emirates Stadium, and a number of first-team departures are now edging closer following a £208 million transfer splurge. The Express Sport understands the 20-year-old Brazilian looks set to join Olympiacos on loan following his loan spell with Norwich City last year. As you know, he signed for $3 million. His first game, I think he got a goal and assist for Norwich, but since then he only got a goal and 1 goal in 11 appearances, so he hardly set the world alight. Needs to keep developing. Apparently, sources suggest that a deal with Olympiacos is now on the verge of completion as Marquinhos continues his period of adaptation in Europe after leaving his homeland in what it should say Brazil and his home continent of South America. Once again, Austin Trusty is set to complete a £5 million switch to Sheffield United in the coming days. So what about Rob Holding? Apparently, Arsenal are understood to view the deal as superb business, given Trusty was valued at £1.5 million in January 2022, and he joined the club from Stan Kroenke's Colorado Rapids. Obviously, during his 18-month spell, he hasn't played for Arsenal at first-team level away from pre-season. Pepe didn't travel with America, and despite, even want-away players, the Tavareses, the Lokongas, appear to still be in training, not seen anything with Pepe, people. And I think Arteta was very damning when he spoke about Pepe. At the moment, he's recovering from an injury. That's why he's not here. He had a spell on loan and we wanted to get more from the loan. We'll have to see when he comes back, have a chat with him, understand what his plans are and make a decision. So that tells you everything. Balogun is still linked with moves away, but it appears the price tag. The latest we heard with Balogun or around Balogun is that he's asking Mikel Arteta via his agents and Edu to drop the price tag. The club are open to offers for the 22-year-old frontman who rattled in 21 goals in Liga last year and 22 goals in all comps. Apparently, he doesn't want a loan spell. Inter Milan have turned their attentions to Scamacca, but they could obviously circle back in for him. And apparently, he's valued at 45 to 50 million, in which I do think Arsenal are going to have to budge on the price tag, but I think they're well within their rights for a 22-year-old who had had a great loan spell last year to demand a high price tag, really. Again, I don't really believe this because it seems like silly season, but allegedly some say there's been a bid for Caicedo from an unnamed Premier League club, not believed to be Liverpool or Manchester United. Who knows? It could be Newcastle or City, or Arsenal. I don't believe it's us purely because while you do see Declan Rice, based on the Monaco game, playing as an 8, he can play as a 6. You've got Jorginho, you've got El Nene if need be, you've still got Thomas Partey. Clearly, we've got an admiration for Caicedo's talents. We tried to sign him in January, and I hope we could get him, but I think that's a myth. I just think Brighton are putting silly things out in the press as Chelsea seem to want to get a deal done. Apparently, the club hasn't even been named, so they could be calling Chelsea's bluff. But for what it's worth, Chelsea could face competition in their pursuit of Caicedo. A bid from as of yet an unidentified club is said to surpass Chelsea's most recent offer worth a total of 80 million. Brighton previously rebuffed approaches from Chelsea and Arsenal in January, says Andy Naylor of The Athletic. And also, if we go to this article, people, Brighton claim they have received a bid from and as yet unidentified club, people. So could they be calling their bluff? They could be telling the truth. Could they be making that up? I'm not too sure where you lot are in that regards. On the Congo, it seems like he's progressively moving closer to signing for Burnley. Allegedly, Sasha Trovaeli said, I understand a meeting took place today at Burnley headquarters in order to fix personal terms for Lokonga. Deals getting closer. Last details need to be sorted out. Allegedly, it will be a loan with an option to buy, and it could become mandatory if he makes a certain amount of number of games. In which, obviously, you hope he goes there and excels and plays a lot of games. But if Burnley are fighting relegation or their finances are taking a hit, like you've seen with football, rightly or wrongly, they might say to company, "Don't play him anymore," so we don't have to buy him permanently. So we'll have to see. For Lokonga, you need to settle down roots. You haven't taken your chances at Arsenal and put any roots down. Fair enough. You saw a manager change at Crystal Palace, but you've by the end of the season you returned to familiar settings, which was just being on the bench. Did have some decent periods for at Palace, but that's now 2 clubs. If the man who said you're the next Yaya Toure and company can't get something out of you, that is absolutely a myth. If I just switch browsers for some reason, people, because I don't know why, ad blocker isn't letting me look at some articles. Arsenal apparently have found suitors for Nicolas Pepe. Some articles say we'll rip up his deal. Apparently, Arsenal have found at least 2 interested parties in Pepe. Apparently, Besiktas, who we've seen already, and Fenerbahce are both keen on the winger, and we'll have to see how this goes. Apparently, Besiktas have already begun negotiations, while Fenerbahce also have him on their radar. He's only got a year left. Apparently, the Gunners are hoping for at least a small fee to recoup some losses. Personally, I think we're going to terminate his contract and then just bite the bullet, really. I can't see a club for a player's contract's running down, for a player who didn't do anything really and truly at Nice and been indifferent at Arsenal. I can't see them taking on his wages and giving us a transfer fee. And once again, Arteta was quite damning when he said at the moment he's recovering from an injury, which is why he's not here. He had a spell on loan, and obviously we wanted to get much more than we thought we got from that loan. We have to see when we come back and understand what the plans are and make the right decision for him. We've been linked with Marcos Leonardo again, people. We've been linked to him for a while with obviously Jesus' injury. And as I said at the start, is it going to be Havertz, Trossard, Martinelli, maybe even Balogun, or of course Eddie and Nketiah are fighting to deputize for Jesus? But we've been linked with the young Brazilian, in which you'd imagine Edu, being a Brazilian, has probably done his homework on this individual. This article is claiming that Arsenal are weighing up whether to make a move for him, people. Allegedly, we sent scouts out in July to check out the individual in relation to the 20-year-old. Apparently, he looks more closer to joining Roma, people. So again, everybody's interested in everyone. People putting down bids are 2 different things. We're probably going to start to get linked with a lot of strikers now that Jesus is out for a few weeks. Apparently, people, in 30 appearances this year, he has 4 assists and 14 goals. And he's played, despite only being 20, he's played 150 times, people. Is close to that for Santos. That shows there's a level of experience. In 149 of those outings, he's registered 47 goals and 11 assists, and he could be available for 20 million. And he does have a release clause of 86, really. So we'll have to see how it goes, but he does look quite decent for what's available. Fabrizio Romano has also quashed rumours of Tomiyasu departing the club. Tomiyasu hasn't been offered to any Italian club, despite reports he's a regular part of Arsenal's plans. The situation could change if Arsenal sign a new fullback, but nothing is close or advanced at the moment, so we'll have to watch that closely. And apparently Arsenal and Emirates have extended their partnership to 2028, people, which takes the collab to a minimum of 22 years. So there's some Arsenal fans out there who have only, you know, who are as old as this partnership. So it is what it is. Where incomings and outgoings are concerned, we're going to have to see how things develop. I think Declan Rice is looking good in the 6 and more recently against Monaco in the 8 row. I think Timber's probably been the summer signing that's hit the ground running the most. I'm intrigued with Havertz, and he took quite the decent penalty. Who knows? Bukayo Saka might not have to take penalties again, or if we get into situations like Sporting Lisbon, maybe Martinelli won't. But on that note, people, please don't forget to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts and everything we've discussed. Stay safe, stay blessed. I'm out.
So you always use that active red flag, defenders. I think it's like